Hi, this is Rabbi Tzvi Mandel of Congregation Kal B'nai Yisrael, community of Jewish friends, and it's a Tuesday night, Pashas Kisisa. What a great poem. Israel, a couple of days of poem, very special. So I would just like to relate this story to you. You know, one of the biggest lessons in the exodus from Egypt, between Purim and Pesach, the Chassidim say, the world says, like, you should have a happy Purim and a kosher Pesach, and Chassidim say just the opposite. You should have a kosher Purim and a happy Pesach. Why is that? Because the simple interpretation, the simple understanding of what Purim and Pesach is about, Purim's about being happy and Pesach is about being kosher, right? You're scrupulous and there's so many laws. Just clean out your house. There should be a drop of a crumb of bread, and on Pesach itself, you know, all the halachas, matzah and all the delicious food, but everything has to be done exactly. But that's not the point of Purim and Pesach. The point of Purim is that the joy that we have and all the rejoicing in Hashem being with us and being in this world and turning over worlds pretty literally for his children, turning over the whole nature and the whole politics and everything the way the Megillah goes, just so that the Jewish people should be saved. And the great holy tzaddikus Esther, who's portrayed in the outside world as who knows what, but we know that when she came into the house of the palace of this ugly Achashverosh, she was broken to pieces. And Keli Kela Mazav Tani, it's like, God, you left me. Did you leave me forever? And like she says in the Megillah, I'll give everything away for the Jewish people. And Mordechai also, as Chazal teach us, knew that if such a holy woman should have to come into such an ugly, impure place, then it must be only for the sake of Hashem's love of the Jewish people. And that's what happens. So that's our cause of being joyous on Purim. So we say have a kosher Purim, meaning that your joy that you have on Purim shouldn't just be haphazard and for foolish and frivolous reasons that have no connection with the real joy that Purim brings us. And Pesach, we say have a happy Pesach because everybody knows, and all the people, especially religious people, they're so worried about doing everything 100%. So God forbid they shouldn't fall into depression and to atzvus, because as we know, as the great Rabbi of Kalin said, that simcha, being joyous and in a joyous and higher mood, is no mitzvah, but it brings the greatest mitzvah. It allows us to be the right utensil to do mitzvahs the way mitzvahs should be done, and davening and learning. And then it's not by being depressed and broken and didn't I do it, and was I yotze, and that's nothing. And atzvus, being depressed and broken and having all kinds of questions about whether I was good enough, whether I am good enough, blah, 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 all this brings a person down in the dumps to the lowest place a person could be. No matter what he's doing, could be doing the greatest mitzvahs and davening and learning. But if he's depressed and down and feeling like garbage, that's not Yiddishkeit. That's not Yiddishkeit, and that's what Chassidus brings out so beautifully. So that's how we say we should have a kosher Purim and a joyous Pesach. So within the lessons of Pesach is the lesson of that Hashem runs the whole world and everything for his beautiful children, and among his children for the great tzaddikim, the holy people that give, sacrifice their lives and everything for Hashem and for the fellow Jews and for the Torah. So the story goes as follows. We'll have this story before we start the halachas of the kitzah on Hilchas Pesach, laws of Pesach. So the daughter of Rabbi Yaakov Emden, one of the greatest leaders of all the generations, was married to the Rav of Constantinople, who himself was a man that studied day and night, immersed in learning, was a holy Jew besides that. And his wife, the Rebbitzin, was a very, very successful businesswoman who for 5 days a week was immersed in business and had a beautiful home where she had many helpers to bring up her children. But Friday and Shabbos, all businesses were closed. And you're talking about a woman that was a very upscale businesswoman, very rich woman. And in her home she had all kinds of maids and servants. But to prepare for Shabbos, she had to do it herself. Like we find the Talmud says, the Gemara says that every one of the holy sages of the Gemara, this one would do this thing for Shabbos, this one would do something else for Shabbos, and it was all in the honor of the holy Shabbos. Shabbos HaMalka, the Queen Shabbos, the Shechina comes to every Jewish home. Every Jew has two neshamas on Shabbos, is closely connected to Shabbos on such a level that any simple Jew could witness, and for sure people who try to become more connected to Hashem witness. So on Friday, she was busy with the preparations for Shabbos. All her businesses were closed, and she and her maids and her servants would prepare for Shabbos. They would have multitudes of guests every Shabbos, besides in the weekday as well, but in Shabbos it needed more preparation for the meals and for cleaning the house and everything that a Jew does to cover Shabbos Kodesh. So it was a horrible, stormy winter day, especially in those places in Europe. Ice and snow, and the waters froze over. And though it was her custom every Friday to go to her best fisherman near the water there, who she had one specific guy who would get her most beautiful fish, but there wasn't much hope this Friday because not too many people were out there altogether, and especially there weren't so many people getting fish because of the frozen waters and whatnot. But she got a hold of her man that she usually used, and he consented to go with her to the waters to get fish to cover Shabbos. Sure enough, the only people that were there besides her were a few fishermen and the very rich landowners, or the messengers, the people, and this fisherman of hers caught this humongous, expensive, delicious fish, and all the landowners were there and bidding, and finally she bid a price that was 3 times more than anybody else's because it was for Hashem. It was the covered Shabbos Kodesh. And of course, she's the one who got it. She had some of her maids and servants with her to carry the fish to the wagon. And as she's carrying the fish to the wagon, she says to Hashem, "Thank you, Hashem. I praise you so much. Love you so much that you gave me the honor and the schus to have such a beautiful fish to cover Shabbos Kodesh. Money is nothing as compared to doing a mitzvah for your holy sake." But she starts bawling, crying. She says, "Hashem, just to honor the Shabbos the way it should be honored, please, I'm begging of you to send me a great tzaddik and scholar to share this fish with me and my family." And this was her tefillah, this was her prayer, to bring more honor to Hashem and more love to Hashem, her own and the people's, and her performances of the mitzvahs should be on an even higher level than the level that she did, though she bid 3 times more than the richest lords and landowners. Meanwhile, in the city of Drobich, the Heilige Reb Yitzchak Drobich, who was the father of Reb Mechel Zlotchev, a very close friend of the Holy Baal Shem Tov, is coming up home after a week of being immersed in learning day and night in the Beis Medrash. He wouldn't come home during the weekdays, and all of a sudden he hears a voice from heaven. The voice says, Yitzchak, this Shabbos you should be in Constantinople by the great Rav and Rebbitzin of Constantinople. He doesn't have to hear it more than once. He knows exactly what he has to do. He goes home, tells his wife and children, and they were used to this already because he was on that level, such a holy, great Kabbalist. And he says, I love you so much, my dear family, but we all love Hashem and the Jewish people and the mitzvahs, and I was just revealed from heaven that I have to be in Constantinople for Shabbos. I have no idea why. And they all, of course, bade him farewell, and he gets a wagon, and the best of horses, the fastest horses, and he gets this driver, and he says, I must be in Constantinople, and there was maybe like 6 hours left for Shabbos. He says, doesn't matter. The faster you go, the more I pay you, because that was obviously the main thing that the driver wanted from this whole thing. And Rebbitzkel, to him, it was the main thing was to bring joy to Hashem. And sure enough, he comes into Constantinople minutes before the time of candle lighting. And the Jews are already, a lot of them are going to shul already, and he's coming off the wagon, and he has his Shabbos clothes, and he had this unbelievably beautiful regal presence. Everybody knew that this was a higher person. And he asks where the Rebbitzin lives, and they show him their beautiful home. Comes inside, and the Rebbitzin is so thankful to Hashem. Rabbi Yitzchak Lubavitcher, what a special present from Hashem to share my Shabbos food, to share my fish. And she shows him his room, and throughout the Shabbos, Rabbi Yitzchak couldn't get over the beauty of the Shabbos and the Ahavas Yisrael, the love of every single Jew that came into the home, from the simplest to the greatest scholar. And the dancing and the singing was just hours and hours, very, very beautiful and very special. But it still wasn't revealed to him why he's there. Shabbos goes on. And by the time it was after Shalosh Shudas, the third meal, the holy Rebbe Yitzchak Lubavitcher excuses himself from the Rebbitzin and the rabbi and says, I must lie down. I have something very important to do. And he lies down and makes Aliyas Neshama.